Alright guys, for today's episode, just a quick reminder, we are on Patreon. For as little as £3 a month, you can sign up and get access to an extra episode every 2 weeks, plus bonus content from all our previous live shows and first dibs on upcoming tickets for future live shows.
Yes, you can hear about lots of stuff like Stu's doing a tour soon, you're doing a tour soon. I'm not yet, but maybe I will in the future.
Maybe. Only way to find it, Patreon. Well, the first way to find it anyway is the Patreon.
Yes.
We'll hopefully see you over there. And aside from that, enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the Some Laugh Podcast.
It could be like, oh, that was some laugh, or there was just some laughs.
Well, no promising all laugh.
No, there's going to be some.
It's some laugh. Anyway, right, we're rolling.
Nice.
Welcome to the pod, Mike Rice. Welcome back.
This so can read it like that.
That's better.
So I can see it. I can have a good look at you, Jennings.
Yes.
Well,
thanks for joining us, Mike. Just me and you this week. The boys are nowhere to be found, but you're up in Glasgow once again. So I thought this, I've got to get you back in.
They're Stevie and Stu now. They wouldn't work to warm themselves, would they?
No, not at all. That's
good Lord,
dragging them over hot coals to get them here every week. I tell you that much.
Fucking hell. Well, Stevie's got married.
Yes.
So it's over for him.
Yeah.
Stevie's done.
That's it.
And you were at the wedding.
I was at the wedding. Me and Stu are joint best men.
You give a speech.
Yeah. Joint speech.
You did a two-hander.
Yeah.
Well.
The footage will be on the Patreon very shortly.
You recorded it.
Oh, aye. Well, there's the wedding filming thing.
Lad, that's like, you're like Vince McMahon.
Let's not start by saying that.
You're in every single way, Jennings. You're like former WWE CEO Vince McMahon. Well, because there was did you watch the doc?
I was just going to say, I did. It was brilliant, by the way.
I thought it was class. And I knew a lot of the stuff, but there was some stuff in it that I've never seen it done that way. Like Vince himself, is just such an unbelievable sociopath.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is in the editing of the doc, they'll just have Vince saying, oh, but there was never like violence or guns or rape or anything like that. And then just cut to him just being like, you're a rapist.
Yeah.
And then another cut to someone with a knife into it. Like everything he says is fucking a grift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there's a bit in it, and it's like, obviously, because he got interviewed before all the allegations really came out. So they're interviewing him for effectively what I suppose would have been a puff piece.
Yeah.
Before it, or they had to really be like, no, this guy's a wronging. And at one point, obviously, in it, and he goes, I don't want to tell you what I'm really thinking. and then they're like, what? Why? What are you thinking? He's like, probably something about sex. And you're like, that's come back to me.
Like, I've always got two voices in my mind going on right now. It's like, and one is here with you, talking to you about this, and the other is thinking about something else.
And then they're like, what? About what? He's like,
probably something about sex. Probably something about shitting on someone and cleaning it up. Shitting on someone's head.
Oh, horrible stuff.
Well, yeah, and what's interesting with him is like there's one part in the doc, and this just says everything about him, and also renders everything he says in the doc completely fraudulent, because he's like, so there's a part in the doc where during the 90s WWF were having the Monday Night Wars with WCW, and WCW were starting to win these wars because they had gotten Hulk Hogan to go with them and the NWO and all this shit. So they were starting to beat the WWF, and then like Vince McMahon came out and he was like, he's like, they're poaching my talent and they're doing this stuff, and that's, and it's wrong, and it's, they're stealing from us to get to where they are and stuff. And he's painting himself as this victim and stuff. And then, and they kind of have a clip showing of that. And then they have like modern day Vince, and they're like, but when you were saying all that, is like, were you not kind of aware that like that's exactly what you had done to everyone in the 80s? Like you like stole wrestlers from all these organizations, you put all these places out of business, you just took what you want. And then he was just like, well, yeah. He's like, but just because I'm saying something doesn't mean that's what I actually believe or think. I'm just going to say what's best for the business. For basically, he's just saying, I will always just say in the moment what's best for me to say.
Absolutely. Well, do you know what? I've thought this for a while about, see, I think a good way to understand Donald Trump, right? Because he does that, right? All he ever says is what's best for him. But I learned basically what he's doing, because the same way you've just said about Vince is exactly what Dana White, the UFC president, does.
Yeah.
See, if you ever watch him in a press conference and they ask him something about, oh, this fighter's went to this other organisation or this or that, or he's said something that's obviously wrong, all he's doing is sticking to the line of like what's best for the UFC, what makes him look good, fucking everyone else. And sometimes you know that he doesn't believe this, or that it doesn't make sense logically.
That's
but
right.
He's just going, it's that thing that Vince is saying. Just because I'm saying this one thing, I might believe something else, but I'm going to tell you fucking what's best for business.
But so that's also, and you can see that bleeds over to like his personal life almost certainly. What's interesting though is like did you see that part where he had done like a Playboy interview in like the early 2000s, and he was like, they were asking him about, does he cheat on his wife? And he's just like, yes, he's like, I've had many affairs on my wife, but, I learned that, having...
the cost of...
The cost of having other sexual relationships, but the sex was terrific.
He says this in public,
but the sex was terrific.
Yeah.
But so he... but that whole idea, I just find fucking fascinating, because I've met people like that in my life where it's like, why would I ever say anything that was not going to be to my benefit? So regardless of the truth, I'm just always going to say what's ever best for me. So for example, if you cheated on someone and you weren't going to get caught, blah, 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 and then just, did you cheat? Did that happen? No. Because you're like, well, they can't prove it, so why would I admit it?
Absolutely.
Like, I remember I met this guy once. We were in Melbourne, and I got in this like taxi, and I was he was driving me to where I was going, but he's like, I was African. I think he come from Senegal or somewhere, and I was talking to him, and he's like, it's a great country. This is a great country. You're very lucky to be here. And then I was like, oh, that's great. And it's just like the city here. He's like, you can do whatever you want in the city. He's like, if you like music, you go to music, sports, food. You can go to a restaurant. And I was kind of like, yeah, I guess it's a city. Do you know what I mean? But this guy couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? He couldn't believe what was going on. And he's like, but whatever you want, they've got it here. That's the fucking truth. They've got whatever you want. And I goes, all right, yeah. He's like, whatever you're into, you can get that thing. And I was like, all right. I goes, what are you into then? He was like, women. And I was like, oh man.
Probably thinking about sex. Probably thinking about sex right now.
You know, like when Vince watches that back as well, he's just like, fuck, why did I say that?
Oh no.
Probably thinking about sex and tits and ass and pussy juice.
Did you see as well I'll get back to the story of the taxi, but the text that got released
may I actually paused it to see what he was saying? It was like,
I've just told all the guys in the locker room. They're going crazy about your juicy ass. They're all going insane about your juicy ass, and they all want to just come inside you.
But then it was like something like,
baby.
It was like,
I told them we done this. Yeah. Imagine if that actually happened.
It's like he was making up stories.
Lad, I mean, he's just so beyond out of his mind.
And do you know how pathetic is that when you actually think about it? This guy's the fucking CEO, he's the boss, and he's still having to go, I'm just going to make up these stories so these guys think I'm cool.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's like fucking Jay for them between us.
Yeah, 100%. It's like that lad in, shag people, and when they come back when you're 14 in school. It's like, oh, how was your holiday? It's like, oh, yeah, I shagged 3 women.
You know what? Doing my grand's bit.
You shagged 3 women, John, with the pimples. Yeah. In Malaga. Where were they from? They were all Spanish. Were they hot? Really hot? Yeah. Okay, John. Do you know what I mean? Just fucking bullshitters.
I know.
But Vince in those like little texts like that he was sending her as well, and you just think, how can you even remain this horny?
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Is it the steroids?
I think it could be. He's taking testosterone
because he's just so fucking
jacked
constantly.
Talking about sex and juicy ass and tits.
How mental was it, by the way? Because I'm not a pure. I followed the wrestling when I was younger, no so much now, but I've heard people say that, like, and it was in the documentary as well, about how he would incorporate stuff from his real life into the thing. But see the bit when he's got Linda McMahon, his wife, in a fucking wheelchair, and he's kicking about, who was it, Trish Stratus or something like that?
Yeah.
And he's like kissing her in front of them, and she's fucking, you know, pushing the wheelchair, and you're like, this guy is a fucking maniac.
Oh, he's a maniac. He's such a maniac. But also,
and then in the script, I'll be fucking this hot 20-year-old, and you'll be in a wheelchair, and you can't see. You can't see anything, and I'll be doing it right in front of you. Yeah, it's in the script. It says it here in the script, which I wrote 5 minutes ago while masturbating.
like, you know, he was writing all those scripts with a dick in his hand. But like, also, so he has like the affair with Trish, like Stratus, or she's his like girlfriend. But he wrote so many storylines where he happens to be making out with yet another hot young woman.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Then he had other ones.
In a way, though, like, see if it wasn't so true, because that is such an archetype, the pure old rich guy with the hot, you know, woman. Like, that's what all these old guys. So in a way, if it wasn't literally what he was doing, it would be a great parody of, like, you know, a fucking Rupert Murdoch or whatever.
Absolutely. And it worked. Like, that's the thing. It worked entertainment-wise. Like, people fucking loved it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are dirty dogs who will, like, fucking eat whatever shite you feed them.
Absolutely.
That's why there needs to be some kind of quality control as
By
to
an
what.
unfortunate turn of phrase, given the accusations, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, he was literally making people do that.
Lad. But like, to take a fuck, to be in your 70s and just find yourself squatted over the head of a young woman.
Mate, unless that's for a stool sample, there's no way that should ever be happening. Also, how long would that have taken?
I don't know, lad. And also,
And
like,
at that age?
the fucking shite's coming out of an old 70-year-old, like, who's full of fucking steroids and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, sweet mother of God. But like, when that's happening, you're squatted over and there's shit coming out, and you're just, would you not, like, and you're looking at the wall as you're sitting on a woman's head, and at no point would you think, what in the Lord's name am I doing?
I know. I mean, we've all had a wee bit of post-coital guilt.
That's right.
Imagine, and just for the normal shagging, imagine doing that.
Well, sure, imagine you're after, you jizz, you're feeling that sadness, and you look over across the room, and the woman you're betrothed who you've just done the deed with has one of your big soggy shites on her head.
Oh, it's not nice.
That's not gonna.
No.
Oh, the fear. What I was going to say about this fella in the taxi driver, right? So this is just in terms of like what we're saying about, and I remember I read it now, not to sound like an absolute cock here, but I read it in this Nietzsche book once. It was talking about he had this chapter on lying that was fascinating, and he was like, sometimes, like, children when you're young, and it's Louis C.K. is a bit on it as well. It's like, it's hard to, you know, tell your children not to lie because it'll just solve absolutely every problem in the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If you just say you didn't do something. So, but it says that sometimes, like, children or some people that are like designed in a certain way, when they're young, they just realize kind of the power of like lying and like to use it to their benefit, and why it doesn't make sense to tell the truth in this situation because that'd mean I'd get punished, or that people would view me a certain way, or so it's so they just get in this habit of always just telling the story of what will benefit the most, and that's where you just get people who are, you know, like that, pathological liars. They don't even think about it,
and I think
it wouldn't occur to them to.
Yeah, it's no coincidence as well that so many of these guys end up being like successful businessmen. Because even there's people, there's promoters and folk like that, you know, that I've met, and you go, and they've got that thing in them as well, where it's like they're bullshitting, and they kind of know everybody knows they're bullshitting. Yeah, but it's like, you know, you tell the lie long enough, and everyone will just believe you and just go along because you know, whatever. And
they start to believe it themselves. Yeah, like there's parts in like and Vince even kind of talks about, it's all this world building of like,
you tell the story that the people want to hear, that what they want. You build these characters, and sometimes it bleeds in real life.
Like there's a part in it where he's like,
and my father said to me then, and he said, you know what? He's like, I'm proud of you. You did this, you took over those other business and screw those guys. You've done a great job.
and then he says, and
Before my father died, the day before, he told me, he said, I love you.
and I was like, I don't think either of those things happened.
Really?
I don't think either of those things happened. I think he thinks in a world of what would sound like a good script of a good thing said. Famously, him and his father hated each other.
Yeah.
Like anyone else you'll hear talk about them in the wrestling world, his father was absolutely disgusted with what he did in the wrestling business. All those people that Vince put out of business in the 80s were all his father's friends. Like they were all because like in America, wrestling was all split up into these different territories, and there was this fucking ethics code of you don't go outside your territory, this is yours.
And there was the whole thing of like the traditional way, and he made it a fucking circus as well, which his dad hated apparently.
100%. And people were, kissing each other's arseholes and shoving, gerbils up a nun's fucking vagina. You know what I mean? Just complete debauchery, which as a young person when I was watching it, I fucking loved.
The Attitude Era, we did not know we were born, because we were that era, because it's all PG and stuff now.
Yeah.
We grew up watching it when it was Austin and Rock and all this, all the mad shit they were doing.
Like the mad shit they were doing. Like, and they show obviously some clips of it in the doc, but like there's like that clip where like Stephanie's about to get married to this fella.
That was one of the biggest ones I remember.
I remember it.
Was Triple H. But the story was he drugged her.
Yeah.
And fucking taken her to a drive-through in Vegas and married her. But then they just actually end up married in real life anyway.
Which was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But the fact that he drugs her, marries her, and then he says, so then he shows the clip of them driving off and she's just drugged. By the way, Stephanie at this point, I think is about 21.
Yeah, no.
Right?
If that.
Yeah. Fucking wild.
Yeah.
She looks like a fucking chiseler. So she's there beside him in the thing, and then he just says, and he goes, and it's not a matter of if, but a matter of how many times we consummated the marriage.
Yeah.
So basically, he's just been out here saying, and then I raped her several times.
Yes. Yeah. Literal date rape.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy shit. And then obviously, like, but apparently, and what's interesting in the doc is just like, Vince encouraged Stephanie to marry Triple H, like a fucking roided up wrestler.
He's like, you should get with someone like Paul. He's a fantastic guy. Not Triple H, but someone like him. Maybe Triple H, yes. He's a fantastic guy.
And then when this was, I was thinking about the Your Best Man speech thing, because then like when they were getting married, like their wedding, he's like, we should put it on pay-per-view. It'd be fantastic. People would love that. Pay so much money for that. And then like Stephanie was like, no, we're not putting my marriage on TV. Like some things are sacred.
And he's like, you're selfish.
I know.
Selfish.
Yeah, that's to be fair. I mean, well, he's a smart businessman.
He is.
Vince, do you know what I mean?
That's
So
right.
you want him?
Talking about sex and tits and ass.
But so anyway, this taxi driver. That's right. So
I want to just get this to the end of the episode, and then we can finish it.
this happens a lot with stories, and it's just fucking. But so I'm driving along with him, right? And he's from Senegal. We're in Melbourne, and he's talking about Melbourne like it's the fucking lost city of Atlantis. I can't believe it. There's food and music and there's women and he, anyways. So I says, yeah, what are you into? He's like, women. He loves women, and this is very mature of me not to try the Senegalese accent. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
Because you can be sure I want to.
Oh, aye. Thank you, Mike, for it.
Refraining.
Yes.
I would like to. No. Anyway, so he says women, right? So I goes, oh, Jesus, right, Jess, so you're into the women. And he's just like, he's like, I'm talking to 50 different women on my phone. And points at the phone and says, there's so many women in the phone. And he's kind of like, he almost thinks there's women in he can't, it's like some magic thing to do with this city that there's women in the phones.
Yeah.
And he can't believe it. So he's like talking to them like that. And then I goes, oh, Jesus, brilliant. So you're having a good time. So I was like, oh, so you're not married then? He's like, no, I am married, yeah. And I goes, I goes, oh, jeez, and you're talking to 50 women. I was like, and does your wife know about that? And he looked at me like I was the dumbest cunt that's ever lived. I said, does your wife know about that? He's like, no. He's like, why would I tell my wife that? Why would I tell my wife? And I was like, no, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of women. He's like, no, don't tell my wife that. And then I was like, all right, yeah. And do you have kids? He's like, yeah, you have kids. And I'm like, and do your kids know about that? He's like, why would I tell my kid? No, don't tell the kids. And I was like, all right. I was like, and did the women that you talk to and all that stuff, do they know you're married? Why would I tell them I'm married? And then he told me, he literally said, looked at me, he said, never tell anyone anything. You never tell anyone anything. That was his philosophy. Don't tell, and he couldn't.
Apart from random people that he's got as a passenger in his car.
The person you have in your taxi who you tell everything. Who you tell absolutely everything. Right? So he says to me, yeah, he's like, no, you don't tell anyone. Why would you tell them? You know, and it was this attitude of like, why on earth would you say anything that'll cause trouble for you? Why? He just couldn't even understand the concept of it. Right? So I was like, right, yeah. And then I was like, and do you love your wife? I says to him. And he goes, about 70%. And I goes, right, yeah. And I goes, 70%. He's like, never love a woman more than 70%. It's a mistake. So he said, if you love a woman more than 70%, she'll feel that, and she'll feel how much you love her, and they'll start to take advantage of it. Always keep it about 70%. This is...
starting to come round to this guy, you boys.
I knew he'd be speaking Jennings language, right? So he says that. He says 70%, right? I goes, right, okay, yeah, fair enough, with 70%, you know. And...
he should have just rounded up to 69. That's the sweet spot.
That would have been a sweet spot. So he says 70% because you got to keep him at that. And I says, all right, Jesus, yeah, that's good. And then I was like, and did your wife ever did you ever get caught or anything? Like, it seems, you know, be one thing seeing one woman, but so anyway, he tells me this, right? He says one day he was in the house and his wife, for whatever reason, picked up his phone, and on his phone there was messages from other women, right?
There's 50 women in here.
There's 50 fucking women in there. Do you know what I mean? It's round the clock messages. I don't even know how he keeps up doing what he's doing.
Admin.
Like, have a work, 50 women, the wife, the
I wouldn't
kids.
want a taxi driver driving me when he's trying to simultaneously chat to 50 women.
50 different women.
He's not keeping his eyes on the road.
No! I'm sure his head is absolutely warped with just the amount of just sex. I mean, this is a real Vince McMahon type. If he was writing storylines, do you know what I mean? So anyway, we go into, he says, he's like, he was in the house, the wife finds his phone, and she finds all these messages on his phone. She comes up to him and confronts him about the women on the phone. And he says to me, if he wasn't strong in this moment, he could have lost his the family, the wife, forever. So he says to the wife, she comes up with the phone, she's like, so you talking to women on the phone? He says, I am, yeah. And he looked at her and he just says, listen, sometimes I talk to women on the phone there. I just do it as a kind of a hobby thing. I never meet them, nothing ever happens. It's just something I do that keeps saying. Now, he says, listen, you can choose to believe me. You can look through the whole phone there, all the messages. That's no problem at all. And if you have a problem with it, I'll pack my stuff. I'll head out. That's no worries at all. You go on there, have a look through the phone, no problem. And she just came back to the phone. She said, no, it's all right. She came back to the phone, and he says, yeah, grand. He says he's never heard a thing about it since. And he says to me, if he had been weak in that moment and been like, oh, no, I didn't, you know what I mean? He said, if I was a coward in that moment, I would have been finished. But because I was strong, he says, she's mine forever. It was a bit insane what he was saying, right? And so then anyway,
because he's almost daring her to go, how much do you want to, for this to not be a thing anymore?
That's right.
Do you really want to break up?
Yeah.
Be my guest.
Be my fucking guest. Do you want to ruin this family? Keep going. Keep scrolling through the phone. Or you can give me back the phone and we'll fucking... Fucking insane.
Fucking hell.
Insane, carry on. But so then, anyway, we're chatting more. And because he was then I said to him, I said,
You're like, do you want to come out for a drink?
yeah. I was like, can I have maybe 3 of these women? You know what I mean? Could you break me off 3 women? Would you have that?
Because my question is though, because surely I take it he was actually going and meeting them, but he just
no, he was, yeah. He was
but
meeting them, yeah.
And she would have found that out, but he just was like, yeah, I dare you, kind of thing.
That's exactly. Wow. I dare you. And he just, balls of steel. But again now, like the Vince McMahon thing, I think a lot of this may be going on in his imagination. I don't know, but this is what I'm just telling you what he told me. Do you think
that's like in his head? That's the scenario he pictures every time he worries about it. He goes, "This is what I will do, and this is what will happen."
That's right.
Because in reality, the woman's going through the phone.
I think she's going to look through the phone. If you say, "Go on, look through the phone," I think she'll go, "All right."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Fuck! I didn't mean that."
That's when he crumbles.
Yeah.
Like, no. I'm joking.
Yeah. Only having a laugh there. So that's where you'd love to have that. Do you know that little Men in Black thing?
Oh yeah.
Do you know, go, and just forget. God, imagine having that in real life would be unbelievable. But then I goes to him. I says, and did you ever love a woman more than 70%? I says to him. And he says one time, yeah. He says I was back home in Africa in the village I grew up in, and there was this girl that lived down the road, and we were in love, and I would write her poetry. Morning, noon, and night. I said she was the sun that rose in the morning. She was the moon, my moon at night. You know what I mean? And I worshipped the ground she walked on, and I would have done anything for her. And then she got off with another guy in the village who only had one eye. And he's like, he had one eye, and then you could see everything that he has built.
Yeah.
This whole system, stories, 70% was built from this just one girl who he wrote poems for.
Story as old as time.
Getting off with one-eyed fucking Joe in the village.
Isn't that the fucking,
yeah,
a relatable story for so many of us?
Well, you'd imagine, like, if you delved back into fucking old Andy Tate's past, that there's probably some one-eyed fella that stole his woman.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what it's like, because you're behind every great heartbreaker is a great heartbreak.
Oh!
That's what I believe.
Wow. Yeah. That probably is true.
And even if you look at, your man Vince that we've been talking about, it's so obvious, because the first thing they talk about is his relationship with his dad.
Yeah.
And how all this stuff was just him overcompensating for his dad. And so many people, it's like that's the... become like these womanizers. None of it is. It's because one lassie rejects you, and then the rest of your life you're trying to overcompensate.
You're overcompensating, and some kind of wall comes up, and now it's about kind of this seduce and conquer type thing. Do you ever see that movie Magnolia? Did you ever see?
No. Tom Cruise, was it?
Tom Cruise is great in it, but he's this kind of pussy whisperer type character. I suppose he's kind of like an Andrew Tate kind of guy in a way, where he's like you seduce and destroy, I think is his like mantra in it. But I do think these guys, there was something that happened. But so Vince McMahon, his stepfather, knocked the snot out of him. Yeah. There's allusions to that. His mother, I think, may have shagged him, sexually abused him in some ways. But like Vince's whole thing was,
well, I look at all that abuse, and when you get beat up as a child, if by the end of it you're still breathing, you've won. You won.
And his whole thing is like,
it's just like, yeah, I cheated, but I won.
Yeah.
It's like, you cheat to win. That's business. That's life. Life's not fair.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy,
quite an insane. I also realized watching it, and it's a great insight into these like CEOs and what it takes. There's this lady, Fran Lebowitz. Did you ever see that Pretend It's a City thing? She's she's a little lesbian Jewish old lady who's kind of mean, but has lots of opinions about things. But Martin Scorsese made a series of her just basically sitting down at a table giving her opinions, and it's actually quite good. It sounds absolutely dog shit if you were to read the synopsis, but it's good. But she says, I remember her saying of like she's been around New York and the art scene and celebrities since like the late 60s. And she was like, in her opinion, you know, regular people are generally better than like successful people, like morally anyway. Because she said, in her opinion, during her life, what she has observed as what it takes to become very successful is generally not very pretty, you know.
Well, there's that. It's a good Adam Curtis documentary, and it talks about game theory, and it's about how like that guy, fucking what's his name, Nash. Is it John Nash? The Beautiful Mind, the film is based on him, and he had this game theory thing, and they basically thought that humans like operated rationally, and they'd always do their rational, what's in their rational best interests.
Yeah,
and then it turned out he was a psychopath, and then when they tested out this thing, the only people who acted rationally were psychopaths and people that were like top CEOs.
Really?
They were the two people who were the only people who done, which is exactly the thing we've been describing about, I'll just say what's best for me all the time. And that's the only people. But that gets you at the top of business in this fucking capitalist society that we live in.
But yeah, it's crazy. But also you can, within that framework, and it's actually been glorified through capitalism, is, you know, you can do almost anything to anyone and shaft anyone to the most cosmic degree, and then just say, well, it's business, it's not personal. Business is business. Just means you can literally just kick a competitor over a cliff. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And just and have his family watch while they die and just go, well, it's not personal, it's business.
100%.
You know what I mean? It can justify anything. But I remember I did acid one time. This is like back in Chicago. And at first I believed I was a woman when I did it. And I got filled with this feminine energy. And then, see, I had done acid and then I smoked weed, which was a big mistake.
Really?
For me, because weed drives me absolutely fucking lula. Just my brain chemistry and marijuana.
I could not imagine seeing you on acid and weed at the same time.
Lad, not...
If only you had done a podcast at that point.
Lad, not a good fucking cocktail for Mikey's mind. So, it was not medicine. So, I was having a great time in acid. Fucking wonderful time. We were down by Lakeshore Drive in Chicago, me and my friends, and we were fucking talking to trees, and everything was, you know, having such a laugh. Then we got back to the house, and a lot of times when you come indoors, when you're outside, you're stimulated by nature and stuff with psychedelics, and it's like grand. And then you kind of come indoors and you don't have the physical stimulation around you, so the stuff starts to go internal. But then they were passed around the joint. I was having such a good time. I was like, yeah, I'll smoke weed, even though I know weed does not agree with me. So I smoked the weed anyway. Next thing, we're all sitting upstairs in this kind of like attic place, and I'm just sitting there. I just like think I have tits, and I'm a woman. I've always been a woman. That's what I think first. And then something came over me. I swear to God, it was so strange, where I just got like taken over by, I believe, the mindset of a sociopath. Like I remember looking around at everyone and actually thinking, I had the thoughts of like, why would I ever say or do anything that was not in my best interests? I remember thinking and looking at everyone and seeing them all as pawns that I could use to further myself.
Yeah. The wrestling figurines that,
right,
that Vince was playing with.
Yeah.
The dildos that he was naming Stone Cold and The Rock that you got to fight.
Yeah. But like, so I was literally looking at the people as like, and I remember them being like, oh fuck, like should I not be thinking about peace and love? I'm on acid. And I'm literally thinking like a shark-eyed fucking sociopath. But that, and I completely understood how they think and see the world in that moment. And then like I came back out with it and I was Nicki Minaj again or whatever. You know what I mean? But I remember clearly seeing it, and it was frightening because I was like, wow, there is people around that's their fucking mindset. And you'll know because you've met, sometimes you can meet someone and you can just kind of feel, oh, like you'd, you know, watch me burn.
Well, apparently P. Diddy, who, funny enough, we were talking about the last time you were on one of the Patreon episodes, but obviously the stuff's come out with him, a McMahon figure in himself.
Ah, yeah.
And
McMahon-esque.
He said, apparently, to somebody, he's like, I would throw my own mother in front of a train to get what I want, or something like that.
Yeah.
So think what I'd do to you.
Oh!
Imagine.
Diddy!
Apparently that's what he said.
Oh, that'd chill you to your fucking bones.
I know.
Sweet mother of fucking God.
Isn't it mad though as well with the Diddy thing? Like, and this goes for Vince and all these as well. It's like, it's one thing to do these things, but the scale of it is crazy.
The scale of it's crazy in terms of like how you could create this robust an empire of depravity and not have it just completely leaked everywhere immediately.
Exactly.
But I suppose then that's what people are positing, the idea that Diddy had his little fucking cameras so that he has everyone on camera, so everyone is fucking goosed.
Jeffrey Epstein.
That's right. So they're goosed, so people are kind of tongue-tied because they're after because like, do you know what? And do you know what's awful? Is I look at that and I think, sure, I could have been caught rotten in something like that now. Not like doing like obviously fucking anything that's unconsensual or anything. But if I was at some fucking party, next thing I'm being given a load of Charlie or MD or whatever the fuck else, then there's all these other hot people. Yeah. And now we're brought to some room where all hot people are shagging. I don't know, there's cameras there. Someone grabs my fucking wang, some beautiful woman, I don't know. She's in love with me. She must be. Next thing, shagging her. I could see myself doing that.
Absolutely.
I could absolutely do that. And next thing, I'm fucking, a sex criminal.
Yeah. Well, that's like, because you can see it because it's like these showbiz parties and these type of things.
Yeah.
You get swept up in it all.
Lad, it's tough. Like, that's the fucking, the devil at his finest.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like offering his, most delicious meals. That's just known as someone like myself who's prone to, just doing what's ever put in front of me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In terms of like, drinking, and then if someone's like, oh, I have some drugs, I'll I might do it. And
here's a good time.
Yeah.
Do you want it?
Then there's a hot woman who's like, I'd love to suck you off. I'd be like, well, by Jesus, that's as good. That's a gorgeous offer. Thank you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
But the creepy stuff. Did you see the stuff with like all the videos with like Bieber and stuff?
Yeah, that's really. Do you know what's weird to me is that like,
yeah,
it must have been like. Know that this is obviously like, even. You would maybe even necessarily say relevant, but in the context of the hip hop community, it must have been pretty well known that Diddy was like gay or bi or whatever he is.
Oh, completely, yeah.
And the fact that that's all just kind of coming out now, again, that's like the one, this is the whole Kevin Spacey defense in it. It's like, he's like, well, it's like, no, you done some loads of wrong shit. This is, not even
that's
part
right.
of it. But it's mad that. Unless it was known, but certainly the general public.
It would be mad if Diddy came out like kind of a la Spacey and Schofield when he's caught doing something, being like, actually, I'm gay. and thinking that he's going to get a big fucking standing ovation for coming out.
But yeah, it's weird. Meek Mill.
Well, there's that audio.
Yeah, I heard that.
Of. Which is quite disconcerting, of Diddy shagging the whole off of Meek Mill, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Daddy," some shit, and it's like, now I don't know if that's real, but it could be.
It is in my mind now.
It's in my mind. I think Meek Mill.
Who cares what's real? It's what's good for business. It's not about what's real. It's about controlling thought process.
That's what he actually says at one point. He's like, "Well, I'm not gonna say what I actually feel.
No.
It's about what's, controlling thought process for the business.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about sex right now." He's such an insane man. But so Diddy, the stuff with Bieber, those little compilations of
the wee videos, very scary.
It's just fucking, you're like, Jesus, Bieber did get fucking creeped on as a child, like.
Yeah.
But we were just talking about before these videos came out. Me and Vito were talking on a pod, like, he was the most lusted after child there has ever been.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it
But
was
usually by wee kids, wee girls.
but it
and
was wee girls, but it was also like there was also a strange like sexual component to Believers. It wasn't just young girls. There was also older women. Like it was this crazy kind of it was a kind of crazy mass pedoism.
Yeah,
That was going on, a kind of mass pedo hysteria that he caused.
that
a little
happens
bit.
a lot though. Because you have seen that bit Bridges does about like the auntie's going to see One Direction, and he's like, imagine all my uncle's going to see Little Mix, getting like a coach that is going to the football. So I'm going to see the Mix.
That is so such a great bit. God, there's so many bits he does. You're just like, why the fuck didn't I think of that?
Brilliant.
Sweet Jesus.
But no, I see what you mean.
But then there's that so there's all these like clips, and there's one like where like Pink like just grabs his arse and like gets him, and you literally see him be like going up to present an award, and he's like I feel violated. And there's other like radio interviews where they're like, so what's your favorite sex position? And he's like, I'm a 15-year-old kid. That's not, why would you be asking me that? And just and then there's like fucking like James Corden is sniffing him and stuff. Like James Corden is going over to him, just being like, he's like, you smell so good. I didn't smell that good when I was 15, and your man's just kind of like, what? And it's like,
you smelled the fucking chips and curry sauce.
yeah, fat cunt. Yeah, fat pussy. He's such, I tell you, I watched back little clips of Diddy and Corden, like their carpool karaoke. And let me even in retrospect, Corden's the biggest cunt in the video. Even looking from today's angle, Corden is by far the biggest cunt in the car. Fucking bollocks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was watching on YouTube. There was, I just was like, I wonder if Diddy and how much Diddy and Vince overlapped. And there was a video of Diddy at WrestleMania singing that Common Home song where he's like, it's easy to be Puff, but it's harder to be Sean and all that. And then he's like, why, what do I tell my kids why I didn't marry their mom?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well.
Yeah. They know now.
They know now.
They know now, but then his kids are all fucking, I don't know. But sure, and I suppose you know what I mean. You don't lick it off a bush, but they seem to have their own fucking stuff, creepy shit going on. Sure, you can't be raised by a fucking depraved lunatic like that in this kind of opulent environment of what seems to be you can have whatever you want.
Yeah,
that's not good. Fuck it. That's not going to wire the mind of a youth correctly. For fuck's sake. No. But yeah, I was going to talk to you about, I had some stress this week, lad. I've had a thing this week where I didn't have a phone for 5 days.
Yeah, I know, because I was like, why the fuck is Mike no texting me?
I know. lad. I don't know if you've been offline for that length of time. Horrible existence, horrible.
Did you not enjoy it?
Do you know what I did for the first few days? And I was reading this book. I finished the book I was reading and that is something that really makes so crystal clear. Like when you don't have a phone, like for me, and I like to read, but a lot of the time you're just fucking, you know what I mean? You're just looking at fucking, how many bottles of lube did Diddy? You know what I mean? And which is funny that there was someone's job to count the lube. You know? Do you know what I mean? Like,
it seems like an oddly round number. It's about like that 70% thing. It's like, it's 1,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like even the person, like just like 784 dildos. Someone joined the LAPD thinking it was going to be like Lethal Weapon, Mel Gibson. They find themselves in a room.
Well, it was Lethal Weapons now.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
This thing's could do some damage, I think.
Yeah. Imagine having the dreams of being a cop and you find yourself in a room counting dildos. Like after dildo 500, you must just be thinking, is this a piss take? This has to be, someone's pranking me right now. This is funny, is it? Like you must think someone's pranking you. But so my phone, so Saturday night, I was doing a gig in Southport, right? And I love that. Or St. Helens it was. Right. It's just outside Liverpool. And so I've been told of late, I get diagnosed a lot online as I have ADHD, which is possible. I black out sober quite a lot. Do
you?
I do, like where and what I mean by that is like, I'll have minutes of time where I just can't, like, I'll have gone from a room to another. I can't remember really why I've gone there, and I lose a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because as I'm leaving somewhere, I'm just so away with the fairies that I just literally, I'll walk into somewhere, a place, and I'll just put down like my phone and stuff like that, and then I'll just wander off, and I'll have no idea where I put it. And I'm just so my life is just constant.
Sounds like a likely alibi that Vince McMahon or P Diddy could use. I was just black out for days.
I have ADHD, I think. Imagine the boys were just like, Diddy comes out and he's just like, yeah, like an Oprah interview. I think I have ADHD.
ADHD, Diddy. I'm changing my name again.
Let me give you this ADHD. But anyway, so I leave Southport in the car with Hattie Preston because she's driving me, and anyway, we're a bit down the road, and I realise I've just left my whole bag in the venue. This is just something I'll regularly do, and I go, oh yeah, I get a call from Dan Nightingale. He's like, yeah, do you want your bag, do you? And I was like, oh, I should get that yet. Will we turn around to go get my bag of all my stuff? So then we're getting out of the car to go get my bag. I have my phone in my hand, phone just slips out of my hand, like literally does little Tom Daly fucking dive straight into the fucking ground. Just smash. And just the front of the phone, like, do you know, like the screen in The Ring, the movie where it's like, shh, it's just completely goose. I was like, oh, fuck. I'm flying to Cork the next morning early to do this gig with Chris Kent, so I've no time to go fix anything or do anything or get anything right. So anyway, I just print off fucking boarding passes. I have to just message Chris Kent that night and be like, look, I'm going to be, because I'm flying into Dublin and then I'm getting a bus to Cork, I'm going to be at a fucking bus station at this time. Yeah. So if you're not there at that time, I don't know what we're going to do.
And what's the irony of this? Chris Kent has just spent a bit of time offline.
He's just done a whole show about being offline. But he's had his wife there who actually has his phone and does the stuff. Yeah. I have no wife. Nobody loves me. So it's a sadder situation. So anyway, we do that. Anyway, it all ends up all right. Even though I didn't get a response from Chris, I just had to hope he got the message. Yeah. And then would be where I said I was going to be. It's like the olden days.
The olden days. This is what people's lives must have been like all the time.
That's right. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So anyway, everything goes all right. I go, I do the gig in Cork. It goes all right. Great. Stay with Chris. The next day, I fly back to London. Now, I still don't have a phone at this stage. And I think it's fine. I'm reading my book, Killing Thatcher. About the time the IRA nearly killed Thatcher, which is good crack. Yeah. The only part I didn't like about it was the nearly part. Dirty old bitch. Anyway, so anyway, she was some battle axe, but sure, I suppose everyone knows about that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I gets back to London, right? So I says to myself, right, I'm not going to pay for a new fucking screen for the phone. That's like 180 quid. I'm going to buy a new phone, grand, whatever. I go into the Tree store, right? And I say, right, listen, I'm going to get a new phone. I had a Pixel 6. I'll get the next one. It's Pixel 8. They're like, grand, we'll get you on some sort of a contract they want to get you on. And I says, no, I'll pay for it all up front. Go fuck yourselves. I'm not going to pay your fucking interest rate contract shit. And they're like, all right. And I was with this girl. She was, Eastern European, which I like the Eastern Europeans. They seem to have suffered, and I like that. There's a humility there. And so
you can relate to the Irish.
I can relate to the fucking the misery. So she says, right, so the phone's going to arrive tomorrow then. It'll post to your house because we don't have it in store right now. And I goes, right, when will that be then? She'll probably be tomorrow morning. I goes, who's delivering that? They're like DPD. I was like, these DPD cunts, I've dealt with them before. They're fucking nightmare. So I goes to her, any chance you could just get the phone delivered here and I'll come collect it? How about that? And she was like, no, we can't do that. I was like, why can't you do that? You're a phone shop. Would it not be natural that you could have a phone in the shop?
You would think so.
Would that not make sense to have a phone in the phone shop? Would that blow people's minds? And then she was like, no, we can't do that. I was like, why? She's like, oh, we can't do that. Right, okay, fine. So anyway, next morning.
What's your address? 3 store.
Yeah.
Just kid on you, loved
it. Just put that straight in as my address. Funnily enough, I believe I live here. So anyway, next morning I get an email from DPD, right? They say, okay, we're going to deliver your phone today between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Yeah. Tonight. I was like, You once said the fucking morning. For fuck's sake. Dan Tiernan was on it live at the Apollo.
Yes.
And I was going to watch that. And afterwards, people were going out for drinks and stuff. And I was like, fuck's sake. Now I have to go back home to fucking collect this stupid parcel, right? Like when the phone comes. And I was like, but I need to be there because I know if I'm not there, these fuckers aren't going to fucking deliver it. I know what they're like. They're absolutely fucking useless. So I said, right. I leave the fucking after party. Dan smashes live at the Apollo. You know, there's cocaine on the way. Everyone's happy. Next thing I have to go. I love that stuff. So anyway, terrible for me. I have to go home anyway. And I get home about 7:15, right? And I says, do you know what I did? I sat beside the door. There's a stairs here. The door's there. And I'm going to sit here beside the door. I'm not going to play any music, no telly, nothing. In silence. And I'm just going to wait for that parcel to come. And I'm going to hear if they knock on the door. There's no way they can fucking come and go without me fucking knowing. End of story. So I sat down there. I was reading my Killing Thatcher book. I was like, oh, they did kill some members of the cabinet. At least that's, you know. And then I was like,
Batten?
Huh?
They got him, didn't they?
Well, they got Batten before. They got Batten on the boat. Which when you actually read about these things and then you realise like just fucking young people died and everything, you're like, oh, it's fun. And there's also a bit. Yeah, it's a bit rotten. But anyway, whatever. Fuck him. Now, so I'm sitting there, I'm reading my Thatcher book, and I'm sitting there with my laptop beside me, and I keep refreshing it because it's like, oh, the driver's on the way, half an hour away. I'm like, great, all right. Driver's on the way, 15 minutes away. Right, grand. So anyway, it comes to 8 o'clock. I've been waiting here for an hour for the fucking phone, Mark, right? No phone. Now they say, oh, sorry, the driver's a bit late. We'll be with you shortly. 2 hours pass. Now 9 o'clock. Still says here, sorry, driver's a bit late. Whatever. I've been sitting here for like a fucking turnip now for 2 hours waiting for this phone. Refresh the thing again. It goes, oh, sorry we missed you today. Sorry we missed you. We'll be back again with the phone tomorrow. And how did you miss me? I've been sitting beside the fucking door. No one came. It's like, oh, Naraf tried to deliver thing. Naraf didn't do fucking anything.
Actually, sorry we missed you, but the IRA said about Thatcher as well.
Jennings. So anyway, so this and at this stage, I am to say I'm fucking livid would be to put mildly because the next day at 1:30 I have to go to Southport. The following day after that I'm in York. Then I'm in Glasgow for the whole weekend. I'm not going to be home for 5 days now. Yeah. So if I don't get that phone, I'm now going to not have a phone for another 5 days. So I'm going to have to buy a new phone anyway, right? So this is completely fucking useless. No one came with the phone. So anyway, next thing I get on to DBD and I'm going to talk to them. There's no way to call them. So I end up chatting to this robot called Roy in the chat. And I am going off at Roy. I'm just like, lad, they didn't come to deliver. Someone tried to deliver to you today and the ref couldn't deliver. No, he didn't try to deliver, Roy. There's no way he tried to deliver. And then Roy is getting back at me and Roy is just like, they will be delivered tomorrow. I'm going to Southport tomorrow, Roy, after 1:30. So I'm going to need a refund. He's just repeats the same thing again. I just start being like, put me onto a human being, Roy. I don't want to talk. Like, I is fucking losing the rag with Roy. And Roy just didn't give a fuck. So anyway, next morning, I wake up, right, I said, this is what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to go into the fucking tree store. I'm going to go in, I've got my receipt. That's where I bought the fucking thing. And I'm going to just say, hey, listen, you said it was going to be delivered in the morning. It wasn't. Tonight, I sat by the door. No one came. I need a fucking refund because I have to go now. And I need to get another fucking phone. So I go in anyway. The first guy I come across, I may come on a bit heavy, but I was like, listen, you know, because I'm gone fucking, you know, my mind is here where I've been up half the night chatting to Roy. I'm fucking, you know what I mean? So I comes in, I was like, I bought this phone, I was told it would be this, and it's just like, you know, these employees are just frightened. Yeah. Do you know, and he was just like, oh, I'll get my manager. I was like, you get your fucking manager. So next thing, the manager comes down, but your one is more useless than the other. Manager comes down, he's like, oh, hey man, he's just an American guy. He just said, hey man, what's going on? And I was like, look, I ordered this phone with you. You said it was coming here. It didn't come. Now I've got to go away for 6 days. So I'm going to have to buy a new phone. So I just want a refund. Here's the receipt. Blah, blah. He's like, we can't do that, man. I was like, why can't you do that? He's like, man, that's going to have to go to head office because we outsource that to the thing. But I was like, but I bought here with you, didn't I? I didn't. He's like, but DPD. I said, but I didn't do a deal with DPD, did I? No. I didn't get told anything about DPD. I bought from you. So it's your responsibility. That's not my problem. That's your problem with them, not mine. right? I bought with you. Man, we can't do that, man. I'm going to have to put you on a head office, man. So next thing, what he does, I couldn't even believe it. He calls the manager of the store. This is the manager of the store I bought the phone. He calls customer service, right? So he calls, and do you know the way you're going through customer service? You're pressing all these buttons like, press 1 for da-da-da. So he's going through all this, right? Just so, to get through, so he's not talking to Roy or another robot. Next thing, he goes, okay, man, if you can talk to her, puts me on to a girl. Hello, how are you doing? He puts me on to some 20-year-old girl in Mumbai.
Yeah.
Literally just in some call center in Mumbai. I'm in the store where I bought the phone. And he's put me on to India.
Yeah.
That's where he thinks the problem's going to be solved. So I swear to God, I'm talking to one. She's like, what seems to be the problem? I was like, listen, I was talking to Roy last night. I've got this phone. I was told it come in the morning. Didn't, came in the evening. No one dropped it off. Now I'm going to be away. I'm going to Southport. I've got a gig. I'm going to be away for 6 days. I'm going to have to buy another phone. And she's like, did you buy it in store or online? I was like, I bought it in store. And then she's like, well, maybe you have to go back to the store you're in. I was like, guess where I'm calling from? Guess where I'm calling from? I'm calling from the store. They told me I needed to speak to you for some fucking reason. I needed to speak to some teenager in India about my delivery that's 2 miles up the road in fucking Enfield Depot. I needed to get on to Mumbai about that. So I'm on to her and she's like, talk to the person in store. So I go to the guy in store. She says I need to talk to you about it, actually. And he's like, put me on to her, man. So now he's talking to her. It's just one numpty talking to her. He's like, no, I think you need to tell him about the thing. And she's like, wow, the fuck? So then he puts me back on to her. She's like, okay, I'll go talk to my manager. So now I'm sitting here in the store. I'm sitting in the store on this fucking phone. I sit here for 15 minutes listening to fucking this Chappelle Roan song just over and over on the fucking hold machine.
By the way, if I was you at this point, I would have just stolen the phone you used.
Lad, I should have held up the tree store at that point and just like, give me another fucking phone right now.
Worked for the IRA.
That's right. Just fucking come in, just strapped. So anyway, I'm on the fucking, so I'm on the phone, she comes back after 20 minutes and after 20 minutes, she's like, are you still there? I was like, yeah. And she was praying that I would have been gone. Do you know what I mean? She was literally sitting there for 20 minutes and being like, how much is enough time that this guy will get off the phone and just realize this is ridiculous? And she's like, are you still there? I was like, yeah. She's like, fuck. So then she's like, she's like, I talked to the manager. He says no, that we can't do anything, but we do have a new deal with the. I was like, are you fucking joking me? She's going to try sell me some package thing. God. I was like, you must be fucking joking me. First Roy, now this shit. So I'm like, I just say, right, I'm gonna have to go. She's like, have a good day. I was like, take down the phone. I'm looking at the manager. He's like, brother,
Oh my God.
So I'm like, do you know what? Fuck this shit. I then get an email from DPD telling me they're going to deliver the phone that night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. at night. Crazy. And also, I was asking like the whole morning when I come in, can you just ask DPD what time the parcel's coming? Man, we don't have that information. How would you not have the information as the person selling the phone?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you get onto someone and ask, man, we don't, sweet Jesus. So next thing, I goes out and I said, right, I'm just going to get myself a little burner phone because I've got to go get a train now. I'm already after paying 500 fucking quid for this other phone that I'm not getting. So I go to get a little Nokia phone, goes across this little kind of phone fucking boot, just buys one of them phones. I was like, right, grand, fine, what the fuck ever. I'll just put the card in this. I'll be able to call my mother and stuff and be fine. I've had a phone now for like fucking 4 days. I'm fucking, in my mind, you know what I mean? The Prime Minister has been trying to call me. You know what I mean? Like you do start to think.
Yeah.
Every opportunity, I've been offered
Maybe I was offered live at the Apollo.
I think I probably was. It would make sense. I deserve it. I've surely been offered several films by Judd Apatow. Like, so I'm like thinking, how many opportunities? You know what I mean? And so I was like, I get just a little phone, grand, whatever. So anyway, I have to go do a podcast with Vittorio. Then I go off down to the train station. I'm going to train to Suburb, and take out the phone that I bought, £40. There's a little burner, right, whatever. Start to put the thing together. The back doesn't fit on the back of the phone. Then I put everything in the phone, put it on the charger. The phone just does not work at all. And I'm sitting there on this train. And I don't think I've ever been more deeply, deeply frustrated in my life. I was just there and the phone didn't work. And I couldn't put it back on. I just literally threw the thing on the ground and just went, I just had like people kind of looking over at me. I don't you fucking... And like there was another time during all this, like when the thing was going on between the phone and everything, on my way back from dealing with lads in the tree store and Roy, DPD hadn't showed up. It was the next morning. I was in Lidl and I was just buying like eggs and I was like getting eggs and bread and just something just to make a quick breakfast for myself. And I've never been I'm just like, my head's nearly gonna burst.
Yeah.
I'm so frustrated and angry, right? And I was standing kind of in the queue and there was just some fucking German woman kind of in front of me and she goes, get back. She's like, get back. Don't try to pass me. Something like that. You stay back like that. And I just go, what you say? Like, cause I was just so like fucking hyped up. And she was like, don't try pass me in the queue. I said, why would I try pass you in the queue? Why would I give it? What, in the queue to Lidl? Why would I do that? She's like, you don't try pass me. I said, fuck you. I just said, fuck you to this little old woman. So, fuck you. And you little German fucking, then she backed down, which I was like, that's right. You fucking back down, you little weasel. You know what I mean? And I'm sure everyone around just
Who
thought,
cares that I cheated? I won. That little German woman fucking lost. That little German woman lost. I didn't fight fair, but life's not fair. I skipped her in the queue.
yeah, that's what I should have said to her. And she's like, don't you skip the queue.
And just be like, life's not
Vince
fair.
McMahon would have ended that anecdote by going, and then I skipped her.
And then I skipped her. And I won. I skipped her. And then I didn't pay for the eggs either. And I fucked one of the till ladies on the way out.
Fuck Germany.
Yeah, fuck Germany. Nazi bastards.
God, what a fucking man.
So that was that commented that.
Oh.
The silver lining I would say is that you might have avoided the Live at the Pole after party might have turned into some sort of Diddy-esque.
That's right.
So you might end up being the only one with a clean bill of health, a clean
That's right.
pair of hands by the time all the corruption, when the P Diddy of comedy is exposed.
Horatio Gold, Adam Flood, Ed Knight, they're all going to be on some tape somewhere right now, putting things where they shouldn't.
There's going to be a Meek Mill of...
Fuck me. Tiernan fucking smashed it, by the way.
Did he? Brilliant.
Yeah, he did.
That's great, man.
He absolutely smashed
What
it.
a moment to like be there watching your mate
Yeah.
doing Live at the Apollo. That'd have been great.
It was great. It was amazing to see. Like, he was very comfortable up there. He had said he had been really, really nervous for like weeks before, and then he went to see it the day before, another taping of it, which I think is a great idea.
Absolutely.
Because you'll just be able to see and start to get an idea of what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he had seen, and he was saying, oh, some of the people that were around were quite nervous and stuff like that. And then he kind of just said to himself, right, just fucking be loose. If you can, like, obviously you're not gonna go like way off on tangents.
No.
But like, even in your performance, like he jumped off the stage at one point.
Wow.
Yeah. Just jumped into the crowd, jumped back on. He was running around screaming about beans. It was, but it was fucking sick. And then John Kearns was on after him.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It was an unbelievable lineup.
Yeah.
And the lady that announced John Kearns on, the host, and next up, coming up, first time in Live at the Apollo, John Keynes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And not only
Put some
crazy,
respect on that man's name. He's fucking...
literally, possibly the best comedian in the UK. There's an argument for
There's
it.
certainly an argument.
There's an argument for it. He's been on Taskmaster.
Yeah.
You know.
Double Edinburgh Award winner. He's been on some laugh.
He's been on some laugh. You don't get much better than that, baby.
No.
So she does John Keynes, and then afterwards I turned it down, and like Kearns is saying, like, he's like I've met that lady like 7 times. It's like 7 times she's met the host, and just John Keynes, and then she was also like, and then Tiernan, and I was like, this is a lady in her 40s in the UK. And she was a great host, by the way. Like, she was brilliant. Like, her part was
You say that, but is not the one job of the host to remember the name of the act they're bringing on?
okay. She's a bad host, but she's a good comedian.
Yes.
Like, she was good. She did a good job of the crowd.
Yeah.
But that is pretty unforgivable. But when she's like, Tiernan, and I was like, you've lived in the UK for 40 something years.
Yeah.
You have not come across Tiernan. You have not come across the name.
Isn't that just another slight at the Irish, really? Because that is an Irish name.
It was a dig at the Irish.
Yeah.
You're right, Jennings. It was a slight
Probably
little dig.
seen Mike Rice sitting in that crowd and going, yeah, I'm going to get him with this one. That's what you get for trying to kill Thatcher.
I'm going to sicken that little cunt. This is for the Brighton bomb. You bastards.
Well, one of the things I was going to say to you was about when you didn't have your phone. I had texted you because I was I'd went into Pepe's Piri Piri as I
Is that
regularly
like a
do.
Nando's-y kind of joint?
It's like I would say it's like a sort of cheap Nando's. It's more
Yeah.
kind of like we've got a Black Rooster here as well. It's like a chicken shop, but it's a chain.
Yeah.
You get them in London, you get them all over, right? And I went into the one in Woodlands Road, right near the stand, and I was going in to grab some food, obviously. And as I came in, I phone in advance because they always take ages. So I phone in advance. I park the car, go in and get it, and then they're like, right, it'll be 2 minutes. As I come in, there's a young boy and his missus, right? And he calls her a troglodyte.
Oh!
Which is, of course, famously a word I had not heard until you were called a troglodyte in your recent Chortle review.
Well, I got reviewed by Shortle at the Fringe, and which was an overall positive review. But he did say at one point, it's refreshing, he said, to hear that, because so many people in Edinburgh are doing like, smart, kind of cerebral.
The Roxbridge folk, maybe.
Yeah, comedy and emotional stuff and stuff about the time that, they got, tickled by their uncle and whatever. And they're doing that stuff. And then he was like, it's refreshing to hear the troglodyte's point of view. That's about me. And it basically was refreshing here from someone really thick.
Yeah. A caveman, as I believe is what troglodyte means.
I looked it up then. So I had to look up what troglodyte meant, which kind of proved his point a little bit.
You're reading Nietzsche and all this stuff?
Yeah.
Troglodytes only doing that.
But the troglodytes aren't doing. You heard me reference Nietzsche earlier on.
Yeah.
Like the well-read, erudite intellectual that I am. But so, yes, so he referred to me as a troglodyte. It was a very interesting review because I got, on the face of it, it was 4.5 stars. So
which is effectively a 5. Let's be real.
effectively
It's 5 stars.
Yeah, it's 5 stars from Shortle.
You'd have had to have a family member die or abused you to have got that extra half a star.
That's right.
Let's be real.
That's absolutely true. So it was great in that sense. But then the review itself, which I did like, it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
The review, but like. He's just like, this lad is just screaming at the audience, calling them pedos. He doesn't want to do anything except talk about shagging and Nazis and calling people pedos. And then he's like, and usually I wouldn't like that sort of stuff. But it's all right. That's kind of what the review is.
Well, this boy, so I come into Pepe's Peri Peri.
Yeah.
Which is easy for me to say. And that's the only other time I've heard this word. I go in, there's a young boy from Glasgow.
Yeah.
And he's Mrs. Young, good-looking couple. And he calls her a troglodyte.
Yeah.
And I'm going, hang on a wee minute. There's no way this boy has he's put that in his vocabulary without the influence of a certain Mike Rice, right? And was I proved right? Within a minute, because obviously his bird would have been like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then so he then explains to her, oh, there's this comedian Mike Rice. And he got called a troglodyte. He's explaining your review to his missus.
Get the fuck out.
Pepe's Peri Peri. And now, obviously, I'm sitting there and I'm going, that is a really weird coincidence.
Very strange.
The minute I walk in,
yeah.
And I don't know whether he would have said this regardless of my presence, right?
Right.
But what I do know is that I was waiting for that. I jumped into the bathroom, came back out, got my food, and as I'm leaving, he comes up to me and goes, Mark, love the podcast. And because there was a part of me, because then he's like, obviously he knew me as well. There's a part of me thinking, he said that for my benefit.
Surely.
I don't know whether or not that's true. Maybe he would have just said it anyway. But I was thinking, well, maybe he's sort of, because I was like, that's such a weird coincidence. He's not with my mate Mike.
That's right. But it's too
on the nose.
It's too Truman Show-esque, isn't it?
Aye. And that's where because I would have done that. See, when I was a fan of comedy, and I would have like tried to say something to see if they would react, but I never reacted.
Yeah.
I just thought that's a weird thing.
Do you know what? I think I might have done something the same to kind of let them know, hey, I know stuff about
comedy fan.
Comedy.
I listen to podcasts.
I'm into that stuff.
Yeah.
I think Mike Rice is a troubled young man, but he's doing his best.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. And what did you say then?
I was like, oh, thanks very much. She's like, oh, listen to the podcast, thanks a lot. And then I was happy. And then I also, because before I knew that he knew me, I was thinking, this is class that.
Yeah.
Like,
that I've permeated Glasgow culture.
Yes.
So much that that my review has been has influenced the zeitgeist that people in fast food establishments are calling their girlfriends.
It was Brad Summer now. It's Troglodyte Autumn.
Yeah. Trog Autumn. Yeah. The Trog Autumn, just everyone being as thick as they can. Oh, fuck's sake.
But yeah, that was a funny moment, man.
Good gravy. That's nice to hear. I tell you, Glasgow is...
You've done loads of you. They've embraced you, eh?
They've embraced me in Glasgow. But I think it's interesting. I think Glasgow is such a great market for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not to take that away from myself, but like I did 3 shows on the tour, then did 2 more for the special. And that's why I did my special here. I was like, the audiences are unreal. Like, I just love it. I love Glasgow. Now, that is as simple as, the people are very sound here, but also, you also like where you're embraced as well. Like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Jose Mourinho once, do you ever remember when he was at Real Madrid and he was about to go back to Chelsea? I always think this. Sometimes if I have a bad gig in London, I think this to myself, because he goes, I want to go back to where I am loved and where I love and where people love me.
Oh,
and
I
isn't
like
that the truest thing that's ever been said?
100%. And I think that's what's something I've really noticed in life is in general, and this might be obvious, but I remember I felt it very deeply during the pandemic because I was around my family, and it's not that my family, my mother and everything, they do love me and stuff. They've never said it. They say the opposite, but they...
Your dad say it on his deathbed?
Yeah.
Right before he died.
Well, my dad, I told once I loved him over WhatsApp because he was in hospital and I was living in Barcelona at the time. Yeah. And...
That's about as much distance as we need to do that.
I'd honestly have to be at least 5 countries away.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To say that to my father. But I couldn't say it on... I left a voice note. And I was like, I better just say it once because if he fucking, if something happens to him. And I just threw it in at the end of the WhatsApp. I was like, anyway, sure, look, Grandad, sure, they nearly got Thatcher and whatever. I was just telling him. and then I just went, anyway, so, I'll see you later, Dad, love you. Just tell the same. And I swear to God, that was, I think, 3 years ago for you. If you want my WhatsApp now, there's just 2 blue ticks and there has been there hasn't been another message or interaction on that.
Since that?
Yeah, as in I will call my dad occasionally and stuff like that, but my father did not respond to that.
That's the last time you spoke to him in WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, blue ticks. But I think that was...
Are you sure he's still alive?
Huh?
Are you sure he's still
Honestly, I think that would have sent him in. I'd say, beep, beep, beep. I'd say, that, because honestly, that would upset him. Gay phone, no. You know what I mean? He just thinks the phone is gay. You know what I mean? And just, gay phone, no.
He's got 50 men in it.
Nice. That's a great callback now. Surely that's a wrap up.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Why not? Eh?
What have we done?
I've done over an hour, man. It's been great.
Fucking nice.
It's been great.
Lad, good stuff.
Thank you so much for coming back to join us, Mike. Just before you go, just usual plugs. You've got one special out already.
I've one special out already, so check that out on YouTube. Mike Rice and Irish Disgrace. There'll be another one out probably early January. I'm kind of deciding when's best to put it out.
Totally. But that was shot at Blackfriars in Glasgow.
That was shot in Blackfriars in Glasgow. 2 great fucking shows, great room. I mean, I told you earlier, I literally changed the colour of my shirt with the amount I sweated. I do look a sight.
Putting in a graft.
Yeah, but it's putting in, and it does add to the nasty character's name of the show. I do look like a quite, unhinged, depraved character, quite McMahon-esque.
Just up there talking about sex and tits. And,
I'd love to hear Vince McMahon read out your chortle review.
He's just up there telling everyone pedos and talking about shagging. Talking about shagging, it's fantastic. I loved it. I thought it was wonderful.
God, I love Vince McMahon.
It's a good voice to do.
Like just doing the impression.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, let's not do that one out of context.
No. Yeah, God, I love Vince. No, he's a bad person, but doing that voice is fucking fun. So yeah, doing that. I'm on tour at the minute. Now I don't the tour extension now because I did Edinburgh and then I did extra shows in Glasgow, so I'm not actually back in Glasgow, but I'm in Dundee. First show is sold out. It's micricecomedy.com, I believe 27th of November. First show sold out. We've added a second show. Get to that. Other than that, I'm going to be all over the place in Ireland, Belfast, Dublin, Cork, Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, Cardiff, Brighton, fucking Birmingham, London, all those places. So micricecomedy.com. Manchester, check it out.
Yes, and of course your
podcast
with Vittorio.
Mike and Vittorio's guide to parenting. Yes.
Excellent. Check all that out. Thanks so much for joining us, Mike. And before we go as ever, just please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you can follow us at Some Laugh Pod on Instagram, TikTok and Twitter, and send any question you've got to our email address, which is somelaughpod@gmail.com. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Nice.